Have you ever heard of the Red Bloom Pact? It's a story whispered in the shadows, a tale of ambition, desperation, and a price paid in blood. It all began centuries ago with two rival houses, the Ashworths and the Briarwoods. Their hatred for each other was legendary, a feud that had stained the land with conflict for generations. They fought over everything: land, power, influence, until their endless war brought both families to the brink of utter ruin. Faced with mutual destruction, the patriarchs of both houses, Lord Alistair Ashworth and Lord Valerius Briarwood, agreed to a clandestine meeting. They met under a full moon in the heart of a cursed forest, a place where the veil between worlds was said to be thin. They sought a way to end the bloodshed, not out of a desire for peace, but to preserve their own legacies. They wanted to cement their power, to create a new dynasty built on their combined strength, one that would rule the region unopposed for all time. But what dark magic could possibly bind two such bitter enemies? They didn't turn to treaties or royal decrees. Instead, they forged a pact, a secret agreement sealed not with ink, but with blood. The Red Bloom Pact. On that fateful night, they each shed their own blood into a silver chalice, mixing it with ancient herbs and reciting forbidden incantations. They swore an oath to end their war and share power, their voices echoing through the silent woods. The pact was meant to ensure their prosperity, to guarantee their houses would flourish side by side. And for a time, it seemed to work. The fighting stopped, trade routes opened. The lands of the Ashworths and Briarwoods began to heal. They intermarried, their children playing in the same castle halls their grandfathers had tried to burn down. An era of unprecedented peace and prosperity dawned. It was a golden age built on a dark and secret foundation. They thought they had outsmarted fate, that they had bent the old magic to their will. They were wrong. The pact had a price, one they couldn't have possibly imagined. The magic they had invoked was ancient and unforgiving. It demanded balance. They had asked for unending prosperity, and in return it demanded a sacrifice. The pact, in its terrible wisdom, decided what that sacrifice would be. 1 year to the day after the pact was signed, tragedy struck. A child from the Ashworth family, a healthy and vibrant boy, suddenly fell ill and passed away in his sleep. On that very same night, a young Briarwood girl, known for her laughter, was found lifeless in her bed. There were no signs of foul play, no illness the healers could name. It was a mystery, a shared, silent grief that fell upon both houses. The elders dismissed it as a horrible coincidence. But the following year, it happened again. One Ashworth child, one Briarwood child. Both gone in the same night, without explanation, without fail. The pattern became undeniable, a gruesome anniversary marked by the silent passing of their youngest and most vulnerable. The Red Bloom Pact, meant to bring life to their houses, was now systematically draining it away. The bloom wasn't one of prosperity, but a blood-red flower of sorrow that blossomed once a year. Generations passed, and the curse became a twisted part of their heritage. The story of the pact was buried, known only to the heads of each family. To the rest of the world, they were just two tragically unlucky houses. But within their walls, a grim ritual unfolded each year. As the dreaded anniversary approached, a palpable tension would grip both families. Parents would hold their children a little tighter, praying they wouldn't be the ones chosen. The pact was indiscriminate. It didn't care about lineage, potential, or love. It only cared about the balance. A life for a life. The curse twisted the families in different ways. The Ashworths became stoic and withdrawn, their halls filled with a quiet, ever-present mourning. They began having fewer children, hoping to cheat the odds, but the pact always found a way. If there was only one child, that child was taken. The Briarwoods, on the other hand, became frantic and desperate. They delved deeper into the dark arts, trying to find a loophole, a way to break the curse they had helped create. Their libraries became filled with forbidden tomes, their alchemists working tirelessly to counteract the ancient magic. But every attempt failed, some even backfiring with disastrous consequences. The shared curse, instead of uniting them in their suffering, only rekindled their old rivalry. They blamed each other. The Ashworths accused the Briarwoods of trying to manipulate the pact to their advantage, while the Briarwoods believed the Ashworths were secretly pleased to see their rivals suffer. The trust that had been so carefully and bloodily constructed centuries ago, had completely eroded, replaced by paranoia and suspicion. The peace they had purchased at such a high cost was nothing more than a fragile veneer over a cauldron of simmering hatred. Centuries later, the story falls to Ilara Ashworth and Kaylin Briarwood. Ilara is a scholar, her nose always buried in the dusty archives of her family's library. She is haunted by the portraits of the lost children that line the castle corridors, their eyes seeming to follow her with silent accusation. Kaylin is a pragmatist, a skilled swordsman who has been trained since birth to protect his family. He sees the curse not as a magical affliction, but as a strategic weakness that their enemies could one day exploit. Unlike their ancestors, Ilara and Kaylin are tired of the secrets and the endless cycle of grief. They see the futility of it all, the slow, agonizing death of their families. They begin communicating in secret, exchanging coded letters through a trusted messenger. Ilara shares her research into the Pact's origins, piecing together fragments of forgotten lore. Kaylin provides a different perspective, analyzing the curse like a military campaign, looking for a weakness in its defenses. Their secret alliance is a dangerous game. If their families found out, they would be branded as traitors. The old hatred runs deep, and the idea of trusting a member of the rival house is unthinkable. But Ilara and Kaylin are driven by a shared goal to finally break the Red Bloom Pact and free their families from its bloody grasp. They believe the answer lies where it all began, in the cursed forest, under the same moon, with the same ancient magic. Ilara discovers a crucial piece of information in a half-burnt manuscript. The pact is not just fueled by blood, but by the animosity between the two houses. The magic feeds on their hatred. It's a perpetual motion machine of despair. As long as they hate each other, the pact will remain strong. The only way to break it isn't through a more powerful spell or a counter-curse. The answer, ironically, is the one thing their families have never been able to achieve: true unity. A genuine alliance, not one forced by fear of destruction, but one built on mutual trust and a desire for a real future. Armed with this knowledge, Ilara and Kaylin decide they must do the unthinkable. They must force their families to confront the truth. On the eve of the Pact's anniversary, the night when two more children are destined to die, they orchestrate a meeting. They lure the heads of both houses to the same clearing in the cursed forest where the pact was first forged. When Lord Morven Ashworth and Lady Isolde Briarwood arrive, they are furious. They believe they have been tricked, that this is a trap. Old instincts kick in, swords are drawn, and the air crackles with the same hatred that has defined their families for centuries. Just as they are about to reignite the ancient war, Ilara and Kaylin step into the clearing. They reveal everything. The truth about the pact, the endless cycle of sacrifice, and Ilara's discovery that their own hatred is the very thing that sustains the curse. They plead with their parents to see reason, to end the feud once and for all. It is a tense and dramatic standoff. The weight of generations of bloodshed and grief hangs heavy in the air. Lord Morven and Lady Isolde are trapped between their ingrained hatred and the desperate hope of saving their children. As the moon reaches its zenith, the very moment the curse is set to strike, a chilling wind sweeps through the forest. The magic of the pact begins to stir, searching for its annual sacrifice. In that moment of terrifying truth, seeing the fear in their children's eyes, something finally shifts. For the first time, Lord Morven and Lady Isolde don't see a rival. They see another parent just as terrified and heartbroken as they are. In a moment of profound desperation and clarity, Lady Isolde sheathes her sword. Lord Morven, after a long, agonizing pause, does the same. They look at each other, and for the first time in centuries, there is no hatred in their eyes, only a shared, desperate understanding. They clasp hands, not in a pact of power, but in a gesture of shared humanity. As their hands touch, a wave of energy pulses from the clearing. The air grows still. The oppressive magical presence that has haunted the forest for centuries simply dissipates. The anniversary night passes, and for the first time in centuries, no children die. The curse is broken, not by a grand spell or a heroic battle, but by a simple, yet impossibly difficult, act of forgiveness and unity. The Red Bloom Pact, forged in blood and hatred, was undone by trust and empathy. The Ashworths and Briarwoods, finally free, began the long and difficult process of truly healing, building a future not on a cursed pact, but on a genuine peace. A new story could begin, one written not in blood but in hope. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the forgotten corners of history and lore. See you in the next one.